Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast. I'm reporting today from the snowy and blizzard Boston. Today's episode sits at the intersection of culture and power, and we're talking about a Hollywood actor allegedly screaming anti-gay slurs, a pride flag removed from Stonewall, activists arrested defending trans healthcare, state legislators targeting LGBTQ plus rights, Europe affirming trans women, and much, much more. Because right now progress and backlash are happening at the same time, let's start with culture and controversy. First, Shia LaBeouf arrested and alleged slurs. Shia LaBeouf is once again making headlines, this time for an incident in New Orleans that reportedly included anti-gay slurs. According to police statements provided to People, officers arrived at the bar in the city's Marginary district shortly before 1 o'clock a.m. on February 17th. LaBeouf was taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor battery. Witnesses' accounts allege that during and after the altercation, LaBeouf screamed anti-gay slurs at 2 men. Language matters. Slurs are not just words. They carry decades of violence, marginalization, and threat. When someone in the public eye uses that language, it reinforces a culture where that hostility feels permissible. And it becomes during a moment when LGBTQ communities are already under political pressure. Which brings us to Washington. So activists arrested defending trans health care. More than 24 activists were arrested this week outside the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. They were protesting proposed policies from the Orange Convicted Felons Administration that would effectively end gender-affirming care for minors at federally funded hospitals. Parents of transgender youth stood alongside ACT UP members and organizers from the gender liberation movement. Their message was simple. Medical decisions belong between families and doctors, not politicians. Healthcare for trans youth has become one of the primary battlegrounds in American politics. For families navigating this reality, it's not abstract policy, it's access, it's timing, it's well-being. And while protests were happening in D.C., symbolic battles were unfolding in New York. Then we go to Stonewall, where the pride flag lawsuit starts. A lawsuit has been filed alleging that the Orange Convicted Felons Administration violated federal law when it removed the LGBTQ plus pride flag from the Stonewall National Monument. The Gilbert Baker Foundation, honoring the creator of the original rainbow pride flag, argues that the removal was arbitrary and misinterpreted existing park policy. Stonewall is not simply a historic site. It marks the 1969 uprising and the catalyst of the modern LGBTQ rights movement. The pride flag flying there is not decoration. It is testimony. And when symbols are removed from sacred places, communities notice. Next, we go to Mississippi, where a Mississippi minister is sentenced. In Mississippi, former Calvary Baptist Church music minister Britt Taylor has been sentenced to 20 months in prison after pleading guilty to sending sexually explicit material to someone he believed was under 16. He will also serve 3 years of supervised probation. The church where he worked has maintained strict anti-LGBTQ plus positions, and again, it bears repeating. Not a drag queen, not a trans person, not an immigrant, not a Muslim, not a radical leftist. Next, state legislation, Kansas and Idaho. So Kansas Governor Laura Kelly vetoed an anti-trans bathroom bill after Republican lawmakers advanced it without a public hearing. The legislation would require state IDs and birth certificates to list sex assigned at birth, disregarding gender identity. With a public supermajority, an override attempt is expected. Meanwhile, in Idaho, lawmakers are advancing multiple anti-LGBTQ plus bills, from bathroom bans to banning pride flags at government buildings to restricting LGBTQ plus classroom discussion. State houses remain ground zero in the current wave of LGBTQ plus legislation. And before I continue with the news, I wanted to tell you that I have a friend who just moved to my city, and she's complaining about the lack of coverage she has for her mobile phone with her current company. She was also talking about how expensive it is for her and her 3 kids who all have phones. I can relate to this because I pay for 3 phones on my plan. I realized how much I was spending each month and then moved to Mint Mobile. I now have great coverage in my house and neighborhood, and I also pay much less. You should check out Mint Mobile. Make the switch at mintmobile.com/listenup. My friend is nervous to switch to a new company, but I told her about the cost savings, unlimited talk, text, and data, and she can save up to 50% off for 3, 6, and 12-month plans for a limited time. She also gets to bring all her phones with her, so she doesn't have to go out and buy new phones or get stuck in a multiple-year contract to pay off her phones. There is also a 7-day money-back guarantee. Ready to stop paying more than you have to? New customers can make the switch today for a limited time. Get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. Switch at mintmobile.com/listenup. That's mintmobile.com/listenup. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for a 12-month plan. Requirement: a $15 month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra, initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. Additional terms apply. See mintmobile.com. And back to the news. European Parliament affirms trans women. Zooming out globally, the European Parliament voted 340 to 141 in favor of resolution affirming that trans women are women. The resolution ties trans inclusions directly to gender equality and policy and calls out anti-rights movements as threats to democracy. While some U.S. states restrict, European codifies. That contrast is notable. Next, in Australia, Victoria protects intersex children. In Australia, the state of Victoria passed landmark legislation protecting intersex children from undergoing necessary medical procedures without their consent. Intersex variations occur in approximately 1.7% of the population. Historically, many intersex infants were subjected to surgeries aimed at normalizing their bodies, often resulting in long-term physical and psychological harm. The new law establishes independent oversight and limits non-essential procedures until individuals can make informed decisions. It is a major step for bodily autonomy. Next, LGBT identification remains high. A new Gallup data shows that 9% of U.S. adults identify as LGBTQ+, more than double the rate recorded in 2012. Among adults under 30, nearly 1 in 4 identifies as LGBTQ+. Bisexual adults represent the largest share of the community. Visibility continues to rise, even amid political headwinds. Next, Star Trek's first queer Klingon. In cultural news, Star Trek Starfleet Academy introduced the franchise's first queer Klingon. The character Jaden Krog represents a shift in how Klingon identity, historically hyper-masculine and rigid, is portrayed. For a franchise that has long imagined a future rooted in diversity and cooperation, this expansion feels aligned with its legacy. Representation shapes imagination, and imagination shapes culture. I'm going to start watching that show this weekend, actually. Next, queer spaces are closing. Across the U.S., several longstanding LGBTQ+ bars have closed over the past year, including Ginger's in the Bay Area and Rochester's Avenue Pub. These spaces were more than just nightlife venues. They were gathering places, archives of community, and shelters during harder times. As digital life expands, physical queer spaces remain vital. And finally, we honor Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson died last week at the age of 84 years old. His Rainbow Coalition was not just rhetoric, it was structural solidarity. In the 1980s, at the height of the AIDS crisis, Jackson included gay rights in his presidential platform at a time when doing so carried serious political risk. He connected struggles, racial justice, economic justice, immigrant rights, LGBTQ rights under a shared understanding that oppression is interconnected. The rainbow wasn't branding, it was strategy. He believed liberation must be collective. In today's divided political environment, that lesson feels so urgent. So that's today's stories. So stay informed, stay engaged, and stay proud. And if this show resonates with somebody that you know, please be sure to share it and come back tomorrow for more LGBTQ+ news. Thanks for listening. I'm Zach Randles-Friedman, your host.